Now that Hugh Jackman has been announced to return as Wolverine in the MCU alongside Ryan Reynolds' Deadpool, we have a lot of questions. No matter what happens in the film, we are sure to get Wolverine in the MCU at some point. But will he be played by Jackman? Well, stay tuned to today's video as we discuss what Hugh Jackman said about Wolverine in the MCU. First up, Hugh Jackman addresses Wolverine's MCU future after the release of Deadpool 3. Before he even puts back on the claws on the big screen, Hugh Jackman has already been commenting on the future of Wolverine after Deadpool 3 in the MCU. The Australian actor has been synonymous with Wolverine thanks to his fantastic portrayal of the character for over 17 years across multiple Fox and Marvel films. However, in the nearly 20 years of playing the part, he was never once involved in the Marvel Cinematic Universe due to Fox being separated from Marvel. This was a given due to the complicated rights of the X-Men as well, which only recently reverted to Marvel Studios after Disney acquired Fox TV and movie assets back in 2019. By that time, Hugh Jackman had already retired as Wolverine after Logan. Despite the clamor for him to come back to the role again in the light of this huge news, he said that he had stuck to his decision of staying away from the character. This was all until news broke that he would be revisiting the character for the time in Deadpool 3 alongside Ryan Reynolds. Seeing Hugh Jackman as Wolverine again in any sort of Marvel project would have been a treat for any fan, as there has always been special interest in seeing him again as the adamantium-clawed mutant alongside Deadpool in a team-up movie. Luckily enough though, Ryan Reynolds relentlessly asked for Wolverine to appear in Deadpool 3 to those at Marvel Studios, which helped the Oscar-nominated actor's eventual decision to unretire from the party and join the threequel. Beyond all of that, however, it's certain what lies ahead for the X-Men, given the fact that we are probably going to be getting a different set of X-Men in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. It's already been hinted at multiple times in the previous X-Men won't be carrying over, but we don't know what that means for Wolverine. Many are assuming that Wolverine just won't be in the X-Men, as Hugh Jackman is too iconic as the character, whilst others have said that the role will be recast for the Marvel Cinematic Universe. However, now that Hugh Jackman has been cast once again as Wolverine in Deadpool 3, and that the film is set to take place in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, what lies ahead for Hugh Jackman? Well, this is what he had to say about Wolverine's future ahead of Deadpool 3. "I imagine every movie as a one and done. That's how I see it. I'll be honest, I had a two-picture deal at the beginning, but I still assumed it was a one and done. You know, back then, there were no comic movies. I just take it one at a time. I'm lucky in that way. I don't have to think beyond that, but I think it's the best way to go." Will Hugh Jackman continue to play Wolverine in the MCU after Deadpool 3? Though everyone is super excited to see Hugh Jackman return as Wolverine once again, the biggest question is whether he will return to play Wolverine following on from Deadpool 3. By the time the news broke out that Hugh Jackman was returning as Wolverine in Deadpool 3 in the first place, it seemed like all hope was lost in the fan base with regards to the idea. For years now, Hugh Jackman has been extremely adamant that he was already done with the character, and that he was even excited to see whom Marvel Studios would pick next for the role in the future. Hugh Jackman knows that the Marvel Cinematic Universe will eventually have to recast the character with a younger actor so they could play the role for years, just as he did for Fox throughout the last almost 20 years. It's extremely unlikely to see Hugh Jackman joining the MCU after Deadpool 3, as this film will most likely not change it. Despite the actor's impending return in this film, it is understood that this will not be a permanent gig. Instead, it's much more like a special treat for the audiences who are disappointed to not see Hugh Jackman's Wolverine with this new version of Deadpool. One theory going around is that Deadpool 3 is going to take place before Logan, and more comments from Hugh Jackman support this theory, with the idea of time travel most likely to be implemented into the story through what Hugh Jackman has said in press releases. "It looks like Deadpool is going to grab Logan from my previous timeline and bring him through for a huge adventure before placing him back to die in Logan. This means that Deadpool is going to end up in the MCU all on his own, but maybe take Wolverine for one last ride before everything collapses." Aside from the physical toll of having to prepare for the role, Wolverine Wolverine's brilliant send-off in Logan was also a huge factor in Hugh Jackman's decision to retire from the role overall. It's no secret that revisiting the role poses a risk in terms of his overall legacy, but the fact that Deadpool 3 is going to be careful to not undo anything that happened in Logan means that Marvel Studios are protective over the project. So, although Wolverine is going to be returning in Deadpool 3, it doesn't seem like his tragic fate is going to be changed or that his beautiful ending is going to be altered in the slightest. Why Jackman's Wolverine needs to return for Avengers 6. Though it's set in stone that Hugh Jackman won't be Wolverine going forward, that doesn't mean that he won't appear shortly in some of the alternate state. Despite having limited time in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, it's almost imperative to see Hugh Jackman's Wolverine in Avengers Secret Wars. This is going to be the finale of the entire multiverse saga, but doesn't currently have a director attached to it. However, regardless of who Marvel picked to helm this movie, that doesn't mean that Wolverine isn't going to show up. The film is slated for release in 2026, and thanks to the title, it all but confirms that the Marvel comic narrative of the same name is what the film is taking inspiration from. We have a huge expectation of what this film could be, and with his history as Wolverine, Avengers Secret Wars might be the next best Marvel Cinematic Universe project for Wolverine to appear in after Deadpool 3. If you are confused as to what Secret Wars is, let's discuss this now. Secret Wars is a Marvel comic book event where all of the different multiverses were blended into one. This reset the overall universe and placed alternate characters in the same universe. One such addition was adding Miles Morales to the main Marvel continuity, rather than having him in the Ultimate version. Avengers Secret Wars is going to be one of the next Avengers movies to release, and should be a huge event in 2026 when it finally comes out. If everything is to be believed, this film is going to be heavily based upon the comic book event with some slight changes. This means that various versions of the same character are more than likely to show up, from different versions of Spider-Man, like Andrew Garfield and Tobey Maguire, to possibly other versions of Iron Man, such as Tom Cruise. Because of this, we could see a version of Wolverine appear being played by Hugh Jackman. This doesn't exactly have to be the same Wolverine he played for almost 20 years, as it could just be a completely different version of the character with the same face. Either way, it'll be awesome to see Hugh Jackman on the big screen again as Wolverine in Deadpool 3, and possibly beyond shortly. Let us know your thoughts in the comments section below on everything we have spoken about Hugh Jackman and his future in the MCU. Finally, for X-Men issues the MCU must fix and avoid. Though we already know that they will eventually be coming, and that they have been hinted at in the Marvel Cinematic Universe already through Ms. Marvel, we cannot wait to see mutants appear in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Marvel has had several opportunities already to introduce them, but it looks like it's going to take a little while longer to see the X-Men, as well as other mutant teams appear in the Marvel Cinematic Universe canon. After Disney's buyout of 20th Century Fox back in 2019, all of the rights of the X-Men became owned by Marvel Studios once again. However, before Cyclops, Iceman, and Jubilee start interacting with various Marvel Cinematic Universe characters, Marvel needs to take note of where the original Fox franchise went wrong with the characters and attempt to avoid the same issues. Fox's X-Men series had a lot of things going wrong with it from the very beginning, from a disjointed universe to retconning throughout the entire timeline. They started focusing on Hugh Jackman's Wolverine, similarly to how the Marvel Cinematic Universe focused on Iron Man. Wolverine would appear in several X-Men movies before getting his spin-off series of films as well that would eventually end in Logan. Because of all of the mishaps going on behind the scenes with Fox, the entire X-Men franchise was retconned into a sort of prequel film series without Wolverine. The timeline issue was already a huge mess, alongside other issues that barely scratches the surface of all of the problems X-Men had and how the Marvel Cinematic Universe can fix them. From focusing way too much on Hugh Jackman's Wolverine and later on Jennifer Lawrence's Mystique to mishandling and sidelining essential members of the X-Men lineup. The integration of the X-Men, another mutant, into the MCU is going to be a huge opportunity for the franchise going forward, and as a result, there are some very clear areas for improvement improvement, as well as pitfalls that they need to avoid. Let us know in the comments section below what you think the Marvel Cinematic Universe needs to avoid when bringing in the X-Men, as well as how you feel about them adding mutants in the first place. And that's all we have to discuss in today's video. Please let us know your thoughts in the comments section below. Hopefully you enjoyed this latest video. If you did, would you please let us know in the comments section below? It would be very helpful. Make sure to like the video, comment down below, and of course, subscribe to the channel with the notification bell rung. Thank you for watching. Bye!